Hi traders, it's Connie Hill. Welcome to Quick Tips for Thinkorswim. Today's quick tip is how to use the Sizzle Index. Have any of you been listening to a news program and they say something like, oh, stock ABC had excess trading activity on their options today? You're thinking, well, that would be interesting to know. I would be interested in that kind of information. Well, on the thinkorswim platform, there's something called the Sizzle Index that goes and finds that information. I'm going to show you how to use it today. Keep in mind what we discuss is for educational and informational purposes only. Don't consider it a recommendation. Options carry a high level of risk and are not suitable for all investors. Now I'm over here on my scan tab in Stock Hacker. Over here on the right-hand side of Stock Hacker, you're going to see this little icon that looks like a flame. This is called the Sizzle Index, and it's a built-in query that we are going to be able to run that helps us identify this kind of information, that extra option activity. What it's doing basically is comparing the last 5 days of average volume compared to today's volume and seeing if it's higher or lower, what have you. So we're going to go ahead. We're just going to click on the flame index, Sizzle Index rather. Let that run just based on the defaults. And this is kind of some of the information that it brings up. Now I have added some additional columns here that make it more useful when you're trying to dissect the Sizzle Index. So you probably already have as a default this column called Sizzle Index. I have also added call sizzle and put sizzle index columns so that it will break it out to the put side and the call side, because many times they can be quite different from each other. All right, let's go ahead and change the parameters here of what the scan is going to look for. And we have 3 things here that we can adjust. There's other things we could add as well. But first thing we're going to do here is we're going to put a minimum price of $20. And we're looking for stocks that have a lot of trading activity, a lot of option activity. So 100,000 is pretty low. We're going to go ahead and put that at 2 million. All right, make sure that we're getting all my zeros in there. All right, looks good. There's 2 million. That'll lead us to hopefully a little bit more liquidity, weeding out quite a few things that maybe we're not interested in. Many times, the stocks that are going to have that option activity are those that are the larger cap stocks. Sure, there are certain small cap stocks that certainly could have some extra open interest, but we're going to find it more concentrated and more easily in those stocks that really do higher trading volume and are bigger. So we're going to change this from 35 to 5,000 as far as the market cap, and it could go even higher if you wanted it to. All right, let's give ourselves 50 results instead of 10. We like to see quite a bit. And let's go ahead and we can run this. Now, if you did want to save the scan, now that you've modified it, you could do save scan, give it a name that you'll recognize, like Sizzle adjusted or whatever it might be. All right. So I ran this scan here. You can see there were 366 stocks that met the criteria. It's just showing us the top 50. Now, a couple things that we're going to notice here is let's take a look at the detail in the column. So Sizzle Index basically is the calls and the puts put together. Now, it's measuring the average volume today, comparing it to the last 5 days. And if it's a number that comes back that's 1, that means it's about average, 100%. If it's 2 or 2.5, say like we're seeing here in this first result, that means it's having 2.5 times the average volume compared to the last 5 days. On this particular one, the call and the put sizzle index are very similar to each other, but that's not always the case. We can look down here, say at the next result down, we have a sizzle index here of 5, so 5 times the amount of regular on the call side, and on the put side, almost 2 times. Sometimes you'll see this very lopsided, but it doesn't have to be that way. Now, once you see a stock that does have some extra activity, we need to go investigate it and find, well, where is this activity? We're going to use this top stock here, Circle. I want you to notice the huge volume that it has today. In fact, I've sorted this by volume so we could see the bigger volume ones at the top. I'm going to come over here to the Trade tab. We're going to bring up Circle. And you can see they have weekly as well as monthly options. And we're just going to pick through this a little bit here. We're going to notice columns that I have. I have a volume column and an open interest. Open interest was what the balance of contracts were this morning. Volume is what has happened today. And it could be anywhere in the option chain, okay, where it makes those calculations. So I just happen to have the April options open here. So we can see, yeah, there is quite a bit of activity here along the call side of things in certain strike prices. On the put side of things, here's our volume column, and here's our open interest. But quite a bit of activity here. Now we're going to go over to the March options that expire the soonest. We're typically going to see a lot of extra interest in those shorter time frames, but that's not always the case. Now, as we open up and look at the ones that expire March 27th, we can see, man, quite a bit of volume activity. In fact, comparing that to the open interest, most of the strike prices are quite a bit higher. On the put side of things, we're seeing the same thing where, this morning the open interest was 52 on this strike price, and today's contracts are 1160, 1300, 9000, and so forth. And so what you want to do is kind of pick through the option chain and determine where the excess volume is. Now, just because we see extra volume on the options doesn't mean anything's going to happen or that it's guaranteed to happen. And we don't even know what the objective is for certain people, why they're getting involved in those contracts, right? We don't know any of that. So we take that piece of information of extra volume and add it to our technical analysis. Now, when you see extra activity like we're seeing here on Circle, you want to go out to the news and check and see what's going on. In this case, I did. I saw that several crypto-based type stocks were getting hit due to some potential language change that might, not even confirmed, might occur in the Clarity Act that Congress is looking at right now. And so one of the changes they were thinking of doing could be detrimental. And so that's why some of those stocks are taking a little bit of a hit today. So take the news, take the volume, add your technical analysis to it. You're going to be looking for stocks that meet your criteria, that meet your entry signals. You'll do support and resistance. You're really going to be making your decisions based on the rules of whatever strategy it is that you're considering. Now, I'm going to put a link here in the notes and on the end screen to a video that I did a little while ago that goes way into depth on this. We'd spent a whole class on the Sizzle Index. So I'm going to recommend you select on that as well. So do your own experimenting. Now you know how to find that extra option activity, and you can go out and run your own scans and test your results. Practice everything on your paper money side. All right, enjoy.